And hey, how you doing, everybody? We're about to count down to getting live. I want to thank Don for showing up. We're gonna have Tech Coach Ralph jumping in pretty soon. But one of the things that we're gonna do is go ahead and start our countdown into our awesome conversation. So stay tuned and thanks for checking us out this February for our cybersecurity QA night that's hosted by myself, Tech Coach Ralph, and we have some amazing cyber professionals here with us by the name of Don Johnson. I think that's Leet Sigma, if I don't read that correctly. And stay tuned. We're going to go ahead and get our timer started. And we're back. We're gonna take a little bit of time. Let's give us a little bit of time to check in. We're gonna add one more guy to the stage, and you know him as Tech Coach Ralph, doing amazing things out in cybersecurity space by illuminating those of us who are interested in QA. And also just having that inquisitive mind, that ability to go forth and learn, not sit back and say, "Hey, I don't know," but getting at it to acquire that knowledge so that we can move forward. Um, we're super excited about. I believe that he has tech barbarians that's leading the charge in his camp. So I'm just gonna step on back and let him take course.
What's going on, guys? Just give me a second. I'm just setting it up on my end over here. You guys hear me all right?
Um, yeah, we can hear you 100%
All right,
great. You're a
cool.
little fuzzy on the imagery though.
Mm, I think it's StreamYard.
Got it.
Give
It's
me one second.
definitely
Let me just.
it's a feature. It's a feature, not a bug. And oh, that's perfect. Whatever you did made it happen.
All right, cool. Let me do that. All right, we are good to go. Perfect. And it looks like we have Don here too. What's up, Don?
What's going on, Ralph? It's been a long time.
What happened?
Feels like it. It's been a while.
It
Just
has. It has
had
been a while. Don, how's it going? You were requested tonight. It's like, can we get Don on the stream too? I'm like, I'm gonna see. Don is a busy guy.
oh man, I'll
Definitely.
make room. When I heard socks, I was like, yes, please.
Well, I got much respect for the things that you're doing in our spaces, and again, if I can be of any service to you and you're following, feel free to let me know. I think your platform is pretty dope.
Appreciate that.
All right. So first, before we even go any further, I just want to say thank you to Cheryl Tyler for subscribing to my channel just now as I was joining. And while you're at it, go subscribe to Sox's channel as well. All right, because Sox is trying. What are you trying to get to 50?
Trying to get to 50. I'm slowly crying.
So, and as well, I want to say Don is the mastermind behind the Chaos Camp GitHub. I am always talking about it, always promoting it, that you guys need to go and do one of those challenges. I've done like maybe 4 or 5 of them, and I still hate the web UI challenge, I must say. But but no, it really helps you like think and get better. So like it's not something that like you're gonna do in like just an hour. It's gonna take you some time to really think through it. So really, really cool stuff. All right.
I
So
think he has some
um
great built-in. He also has some great built-in, like when you get stuck, like some logic when it comes to even watching you, Tech Coach Ralph, when we were dealing with Git and trying to figure out how to push and move things. That was pretty sweet.
Yep. Yeah, Don's bailed me out many times, so shout out to Don as always. All right, so we get ready to get started.
Yeah, let's get cracking.
All right, so let me get my questions. All right, so the first, let me put my timer up as well. We're gonna put 5 minutes tonight, Don, because we got Don and we got Socks. So, it might go a little long, so I gotta throw 5 minutes up there. All right, let me see. Timer. All right, so the first question that we're gonna go to, let's do it this way. So this question is going to be about Sox University. All right. So the question is, what makes Sox University a unique learning experience compared to other online platforms? We all want to know why Sox University. Why did you decide to create Sox University, Mr. Sox?
Um, if we're being 100% honest, it was something that I felt like the community needed, not as a certification platform, but more as a preparation platform. All too often, we end up having people who go after these big certifications. And while I think I'm the last person to argue about whether or not people should make money based upon the things that they're putting out, one of the things that I do tend to see or observe is people spending their hard-earned money and not being very successful in the path towards certification. um using that in mind and kind of thinking back to when I had to take things like standardized tests in the United States, or even tests that would allow me to jump grades or to show proficiency. I've discovered that it's not about necessarily the test, but whether or not how comfortable a tester is in the environment, as well as the subject matter. That being said, you could have a command and an understanding of what you're being tested on. However, if you haven't been tested to time, then that adds an additional layer of concern. So, one of the things that I like to mention is Sox University stands out, I guess, in the crowded field of online learning by providing a unique and interactive, tailored educational platform, so to speak. We try and focus on cybersecurity, and unlike others, social platforms or educational platforms, Sox University tends to be specifically designated to adapt to the varied learning styles and paces of our online users and our diverse student body. So, all of that in a nutshell is I put everything together with you in mind. I wanted to emphasize practical, hands-on learning while enabling students to not only learn that theoretical aspect of information or those concepts, but also how they apply in real world scenarios. um we get that, we get to that point. Like, how do we get to that point, right? um we tend to get that by taking kind of a practical approach, right? We got to walk, crawl, run. Those of you who have been in the military, that's a pretty familiar term. But what I do is I try and create instances or scenarios that tie to realistic encounters that allow the student to practice, the knowledge that they've been able to gain through each module. So, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you up front. Um, there is a lot of reading It's kind of like looking at a man page for the most part, and we're working on trying to improve the student experience through our beta testing program that we've launched prior to our main release. But I just want you to understand that we here at Sox University understands that if you don't have a solid foundation that is steeped in research and application, then your likelihood of being successful in the cybersecurity field is going to greatly diminish. That's not saying that you won't be successful. I'm just trying to make sure that you get all tools necessary for you to be as successful as you can be. And again, going back to my earlier statement about Sox University being a preparatory educational platform versus a certifying body, we don't stand in the way or speak to the deficiencies that exist in any of the other certifying bodies because that's not where we're at. What we aim to do is because you have come across or understood a common practice, and an idea or a technology, right, with us, that means that when you go into those certifying bodies or you choose to go to a boot camp, it's not the first time that you've seen this. And because this isn't the first time that you've seen this and actually been able to touch some of the technologies that we cover, we believe that that would put you in a more advantageous position to be successful in your journey within cybersecurity. So um, that's that's all that I have to speak to that particular thing. I hope that answers the questions that your listeners or that the podcast viewers have.
Well, I think that answered that question. Well, we can wrap it up now. I mean, you answered everything. You know, that like your answer reminds me of like part of the reason that Don put together Chaos Camp, right? To give people more realistic, practical experience in like the testing field. What do you think, Don?
Yeah, the yeah, nothing's when you're initially learning something. Usually, the tutorials are pretty vanilla. Then don't really prepare you for a real work environment. So the aim was to sort of create the real work environment and sort of help show people how to sort of navigate that. And one thing I noticed about Socks and just watching some of his content is he's trying to do the same, but he also knows how to structure it very well, like the different learning paths that he's sort of um, graphed out. So to this day, I'd become a member of his university just because there's a lot of things I could probably learn, from his techniques. I'm not really a security expert. I'm sort of have one foot in, one foot out. I'm a tester, but I see a direct connection between the two worlds and sort of
Mhm.
offer that, as part of the package when I work. But yeah, that's that was pretty much why I created it. And anybody feel free to contribute a bit of chaos that they've experienced in the world, and GitHub. That's what it's for: contributing and sharing. And the more chaos we can sort of prepare users for, the better and stronger professional you can be.
And I think Don is being a little light. As a tester, you're a security person, right? If you go to my favorite YouTube video where the girl has the square, the circle, and the triangle, and then she's like, yeah, that goes in the square, and they put all the shapes inside the square hole, and
Yep.
is is very true. The users will always surprise us, and and what they do versus the intent of the technology, right? And I think an extra thing, like for us as educators, as people who are seeking to enable stronger, better understanding in our field, is that we have to be able to tackle that and answer and present questions in a way that pedagogically challenges people.
Well, I'm gonna wrap this question up because you just used a word that has more than 3 syllables, and you know how I feel about that. But I'm gonna say that like in just in test like one of the, like around the time I first met Don, I'm like, hey Don, what you doing? You know, just trying to win $50,000 on um a bug what do you, a bug bounty,
Bug
right? I'm
bounty.
like, oh okay, Don. I'm like, yeah, you're not into security at all, are you?
Mhm.
Anyways, let me wrap that one up, and we'll get we have a comment, right? So we're gonna take that, and then so
Love
all
your
right,
sound
we
effects.
have one of my most favorite people in the chat. Sharon Hammonds says, "Hey guys, hey Sharon, how's it going?" And she says, "Yeah." So this is one of our wonderful beta testers who volunteered to beta test for us. And he says, oh, yeah, lots of reading. However, I'm grateful for it. Lots of hands on training, which is challenging for me. However, this is just what I needed. After this, I believe I will be able to speak to it with confidence.
Man, feedback like that makes me feel like the effort that I put into some of this stuff was not for for nothing, you know?
And I'll say this as well, right? Because the beta testing is on the lowest course level, right?
Right.
So I can
Mhm.
only imagine once you start once we go live and you start unlocking like the higher course levels, imagine like what's gonna be of it, like the value in that, right? So, but we won't talk about that now. We'll just leave it under wraps for now, all right? Just a
Yeah.
little preview, all right? So, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you can know every time we go live, and you can stay up to date with the latest content. All right. So we're gonna jump over to our next question, if that is okay with the panel. All right. So this question is about practical cybersecurity conferences for analysts and blue team. All right. So let me get the question for you. I'm gonna read the whole thing out, and then you can have at it. All right. So this one says, my employer is looking to send me to a couple of security conferences this year. I'm a security analyst on the blue team side, and I was wondering what are some of the more practical cyber conferences happening this year. I'm looking for conferences such as DEF CON, Blue Team Con, and maybe some vendor focused conferences. Valcon, any good? I'm based in the US. So that is the question. That is what the people want to know. And 5 minutes on the clock. Go for it.
Super well, first of all, um gosh, Blues B-Sides is a very great network that exists across the major 50. When I say major 50, I mean the 50 states of the United States. Even into being out in the foreign areas as well. The thing about B sides is think about like it harkens back to the B sides of a tape for those of you who had tapes and CDs. It was the less popular but very content rich execution of information. I think that like B-Sides, just check that out in your area. Cactus Con is coming up. Derby Con used to be amazing. But I believe that they've been replaced by a couple other cons. But to speak specifically to your question, with DEF CON, There is Pros versus Joes, which is a amazing CTF that is put together with blue team security defender technology at the forefront of what they're doing. So big shout out to them. Check out PVJ for DEF CON if you're looking for specifically blue team things, and they also have tracks that are focused on blue team specific technologies. There are also, gosh, they have up in Pittsburgh again. Pittsburgh, just in the next couple weeks, we're gonna have B-sides in Pittsburgh. So these smaller conferences are very much focused on sharing and spreading information about, about cybersecurity, getting those conferences, and they also make things very accessible due to the price model that goes on with those. So you're not looking at spending a couple $100 like you would for Black Hat or DEF CON, but closer to the, to the 50, 75, $100 aspect. And not to mention SmoothCon in DC, which is it's a pretty difficult conference to get into because their tickets sell out like within 1 minute. So you coders out there, if you know how to write some decent Java or some decent, I don't know, some decent Go, in order to track and capture some opportunities, you can snatch some tickets, as well as students tend to get sponsored by, like the OGs in cybersecurity as well.
Like a
That's
sniper
all I
app,
got.
like a sniper app for ticket purchasing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We can
It,
talk about
it's
that later if you want.
it's pretty encouraged, but also discouraged. I don't know, like it's a love-hate relationship between ingenuity and ticket sales. But that's all that I have. I think that the way to approach, if the question is surrounding like how to approach, leadership, of course you're always I would always approach leadership with, hey, certain conferences, especially in cybersecurity, is one of the only times per year that we get to fellowship with other cybersecurity professionals. And also, you owe it. And here's something that people don't do, and it makes me insane. When you go to a conference, right? Right? Do a slideshow, do something about what you learned and how it applies to your day to day operations to help your boss sell it to the CFO. Like, come on, guys, like, help yourself. This is how you do it. Like, even at the junior level, it doesn't matter what your level is. People higher up like to hear their newest employees talk. So have one of your newer cybersecurity analysts go forth and do the presentation, but get the tutelage from your seniors and your mid-level professionals so that you don't sound crazy. And it's a win-win. Like, we start to develop cybersecurity as a process, as a lifestyle, versus, hey, they're just going out there to get drunk and party, and it's a waste of company funds. Like, here's a nugget. Take it, use it.
I mean, if they send you out to a conference and then you just come back and you don't say anything, like, why did they send you? Like, you gotta. I would expect, like, come back and share something, you know.
A lot of the time people do exactly that. They go to conferences and then they come back and it's siloed. Like, I had some really great interactions with some startups and with some other stuff where brown bag lunches happen, or lunch and learns happen, where across the different business verticals, no matter where you were in the org, you could go and sit in. If I wanted to learn about BA or BD, or if I wanted to go and learn about QA, if I wanted to learn about what our devs were doing, like, they would throw up on their big screen and then they say, come over and eat your little sack lunch and learn. Like, that's a really dope concept that I think we got away from unfortunately, I think due to COVID. But I think that that it's an opportunity for us to sow the seeds of security within the org overall. Like your security team, your internal security team should be coming back and like talking about how, you know, the log4j is non-existent inside of our org because I went to DEF CON to meet the person who first did the security research report on the J and DI strings that was appearing inside of the logs that was going across the network. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, I
Yep.
get excited.
Hey, sometimes you have to. All right. So I just wanted to quickly shout out my buddy, my pal Mitch in my chat. I was telling him the other day, he is a man of few words, right? So when he tells the people to get the likes up on the stream, he just puts a thumbs up emoji, nothing else. Just and I'm like, a man of few words. Anyways, let's wrap that question up. So I hope that you guys are getting the amazing information and knowledge that I'm getting here, with these two veterans in the field. So it's awesome to be on this panel with Socks and with Don. So let's go into and go ahead and like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channels. But I'd if anything, go subscribe to Socks' channel, right? Go watch his stream on his channel. Because I just want him to get to 50. All right, he's been asking for this 50 for like the past month.
Look, I'm not. I have it. I have it for you.
All right. Okay, let's get to our next question of the night. So this one says, go here. So if I sign up for Socks University, right? And I need help, I get stuck. Where could I find additional help or tutoring in cybersecurity if I get stuck on a module on Socks University?
Wow. Wow. I think that's a really good question, right? Because um we tend to work and and take what we have, and then sometimes we get stuck. um I'm gonna give you a couple answers, and we'll start off with our internal support, right? So at Sox University, we tend to prioritize, comprehensive support wherever we can, as well as guidance. So we have a what do we have? We have a Discord channel that exists. And as more and more cyber professionals join the team, we'll have people at different stages to be able to support, as well as the opportunity for you to interact with other people within your training environment or within your class set, right? So I mean, again, should you find yourself, I guess, needing extra help with with the module, we tend to try and have multiple places of support, right? We again, like I said, our community forum is a great place for us to start, and trying to have a Socratic opportunity for people to kind of share and learn from each other, as well as gaining information from from peers and the people who put the information together. But when we talk about people who are seeking additional information, let's say you don't know what MD5 hash is, and you've taken the course that's surrounding the idea of MD5 hashes, and it's just not hitting or sticking with you. There are external resources that exist. Again, remember, we're a preparatory course, not a certifying body. So we have no problem with incorporating the knowledge that you were able to gain in other locations in order to to strengthen your approach. So like Cyber is a great place, Coursera, edX, and Khan Academy are all great resources. Under and over the wire are other practices that people can go through. And you probably are saying like, well, hey Sox, why are you talking about things that are external to Sox University, and not really, just kind of focusing on things that's internal? It's because at the end of the day, I feel like we have a pretty robust support system within Sox University. When most people are stuck or have a problem, we're able to get answers within a few minutes to a couple hours. It depends on when things are being released. Um, but that time delta is quickly starting to reduce with the implementation of some AI supports and technologies to answer some of our more frequently asked questions, such as what's a VPN? How do I connect my VPN to my base system, and how is that integrally um a part of my learning process? Well, to be extremely candid, if you're not connected to my VPN, then you can't touch the internal resources that you need in order for you to move forward. So, while it's something that people aren't accustomed to, I think even that is a business practice. When you start to go out and work for major corporations, they are not allowing you to touch their infrastructure without going through their particular VPN. So um, I'm going to stop there with the hopes that I answered that question. And if you got any follow ups, I'm open to them.
Any follow up or thoughts, Don?
No, it's he pretty much covered, you know, everything. So really no follow up.
So I would say that one of the ways that you can get help as well as help someone else to learn even more is peer to peer teaching and helping, right? So what I mean by that is, let's say you sign up for Sox University, right, and you join the Discord, right, and an issue that Sharon might have had, right, where who knows, well, whatever like she came across and then she got it resolved. Now you posted in Discord, hey, I'm having this issue, and Sharon's like, oh, I had that same issue, and this is what I did to resolve it. Now you have, now she's able to teach someone else who's stuck as well, and that peer to peer, and that's what like these Discords, these Slacks should be so useful for. But a lot of times people join, and then they don't say anything, and it's like a dead Discord or a dead Slack. But to me, I think like those are the opportunities that you need to be able to learn for yourself, and as well as help someone else out. I'll give you a quick jujitsu example, right? Um, as you like when we train, as we go higher in belts, we try to partner up with like the lower belts so that we can help them get better. And it's not like all reliant on the professor to like see everything that's going on. Like the main reason that we're getting promoted is based off our experience and our wisdom and our decision making, and how we're able to help the newer people. So it's like a cycle that keeps going, like they call us like coaches, as like until you get to a black belt you're a coach, and then you have the professors that are like the black belts, right? So and it just keeps the cycle going. And I think like, so just to pull up this comment real quick, Sharon said, I got stuck and I reached out to Socks and he helped me via Zoom and share screen, right? And what I would like to see is like if someone gets stuck and they post in the Discord and say, "Oh, this is the problem that I'm having," that someone else should be able to say, "Oh, Socks helped me out with this. Tech Coach Rob helped me out with this. Let me help you," right? And now that makes you understand the problem better, and it shows that you actually understand it because you're able to teach it to somebody else. And now it just keeps the cycle going, and everybody's winning at that point. So just wanted
And
to throw that in there. Mhm.
You're also building community, and these are the people that you're taking classes with and stuff like that. These are people who are going to get jobs. This is your ability to build those relationships where you're out looking for a job and you're like, hey, such and such, hey Sharon, this is Socks, I need a job. Or I'm looking for a job, and we remember we had a class together. If we are part of a team where we're building and we're feeding into each other and pouring into each other, that strengthens our relationship, which probably makes it me more likely to help when it comes to the end result of getting a job, right? So just keep that in mind. It's not, it's the human interactive piece is super important, but I don't think that we place enough emphasis on those relationships that we create and how they can help our lives be more easy in the future.
Yep. And then, and like a lot of people in tech, cyber, whatever tech field, right? They're not the greatest communicators. So being able to help people and like that helps your communication skills get a lot better by being able to talk and teach and lead and stuff like that, also builds leaders and stuff like that, so and Jared says yes, it does strengthen relationships, right? And just like a little bit of history, right? um I think Sharon came on my stream maybe 2 to 3 months ago, right? And once we talked about having beta testers, she was one of the first people who popped into my mind, right? And now just look where it's going, like building the relationships, being in communication, like, hey, we're looking for beta testers to see if this thing is working, 30 days, and boom, now we're getting some amazing feedback, even strengthening the relationship even more and that's just one person, like, but we have like a bunch of people that we're going through the same, like, another person, I was like, "Hey, I know you're like you're interested," because a lot of people that come to me interested in cyber. I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're interested in cyber. Would you be interested in doing the beta testing, right?" And now we have like what 10 people in there now doing
10
beta
people
testing.
total. Yep.
So that's amazing. All right, I am going to wrap this question up. All right, let's get to before we get to our next question, right? Mitch in my chat, he was like, all right, I'll give you a few more words. So he gave me 4. He said, like, comment, share, subscribe. Oh man, I tell you, like the people who hang with me, we are about business. We don't talk a lot. We just get to work, and
Mhm.
that's the type of people I love to be around. Like we get to work, and as soon as Don's busyness goes down, we're gonna get back to work on the things that we're working on. Before he got busy before December, but I still have it on my backlog. I added Socks. Are you on Android or iPhone?
I'm on the greatest piece of technology ever created called an
BlackBerry.
Android.
Oh.
Android, not Crackberry today, not Crackberry today, but I'm just telling you, I'm telling you.
I'm gonna add you as a beta tester to the app that I put in the
I'd
app store.
I'd love to. I'd love to.
I'll get you. It's your regular email, right? That I have.
Yep. Mhm.
All right,
Mhm.
cool. I'll add you after the show. But yeah, I added Don to the iPhone testing group, and
I started
and
testing that, and I have feedback. We'll talk later.
that's why I don't want to be a developer, because it have to do with the feedback. I'm used to giving the feedback. Oh man. But yeah, I was like, before I jumped on, I was talking about like how I decided to put the time cost calculator into a mobile app,
I do
and
remember when we posted it.
I started on Wednesday, and I got into the app stores by yesterday. So
Good job. If I had a sound effect, I'd push the applause for you right now.
I got it. Don't worry. I have no problem doing it for myself. All right.
I'm
I was
with
telling
it. I'm with
somebody.
it.
I was telling somebody I'm the most humble person I know. So, and All right, all right, all right. Enough fun. Enough. Wait, one more comment. Let's see. Oh,
Yeah.
Sharon is laughing. Oh man. All right, all right, all right. Let's go to. And Mitch said Android for life. So, all right. Yeah, it's hard for me to switch to iPhone. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's
Especially
go
if you can
to
do this.
our next one. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's go to the next one. So, this question is, what does it mean to be a security champion? And let me give you some context before we jump in. So, the context of the question is, I'm a senior software engineer. I have never worked directly on a security product, but most of my career is at cybersecurity companies, even to this day. So naturally, I have some security oriented knowledge. I was offered by my company to attend a security course with the purpose of becoming a security champion for my team. I don't have a syllabus yet. All I know is that this course will span over 15 sessions in the coming months. As the title suggests, I would like to hear from your experience as security champions, working with a security champion, how this job title is reflected in your or their work. What I might learn in the course, or what topics you think I should pay attention to the most. All right. Have at it.
Okay, so when I hear security champion, I hear tool champion, and that's something that is heavily used in your developer world, right? Um, so to me, a security champion is a marketing term. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's a marketing term that they're choosing to use to I guess to identify a security envoy or person that is proselytizing security throughout the enterprise, but also being a security focused person within the environment to which they're tasked, right? So I just said the same thing 4 different times. Sorry. um how I have come across or experienced these different types of people, um it's probably three to fourfold, right? So from the sales perspective, right, you got your sales engineers that's out there, that's bent on, or that's very knowledgeable on the deliverables, from a security perspective of a product, any product that you have. When we're talking about internally, the application team, your dev team, you'll have a security focused team that's aware of OWASP's top 10 and different security concerns that are specific to your enterprise or whatever product that you service that you supply. So if we're talking software as a service or infrastructure as a service, we understand that these two things are services that are provided, but have two different security roadmaps that have been applied to them in order to properly lock down that information. Um, if we're talking about, all right, so I talked about three, and then like the fourth is when you're talking about your internal security team relative to the overall security of the network that's being supported, or the intranet of your environment. So we're talking mobile device management policies, as well as data DLP, or data loss prevention approaches across the enterprise, and making sure that we're not only properly educated on the threats that we may encounter within the field or sector that we operate within, but we're internally ensuring that the people who are a part of our organization are following best practices, to include least access, blah 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 blah. with 15 interactions or courses or studies or training opportunities, um, I would say that what you focus on, I would say yes, focus on everything that you can. Take copious amounts of notes. I know that that sounds ridiculous for me to say pay attention to everything, but when we look at security overall, security is a very layered and nuanced approach. The one thing that you learned or the one thing that you forgot, right, is a lot of the time the thing that you're gonna need to pull out your pants to address XYZ threat, right? So um when we start talking about things to look out for, look at new emerging and current threats that they're addressing that's relative to your sector, right? So if you're in the finance sector, like try and listen to things that are addressing things that transmit or deal with data in transit and data at risk. If you're a specifically security focused team, the zero trust model and its iterations as being presented within this organization might be some of the things that you're interested in and taking specific notes to. Without knowing specifically like what you do, it makes answering the question that much harder. But I think that the information I provided would give you enough information to cater to your specific environment. And I'll turn the mic over to Don.
Yeah, a lot of what Sock said pretty much covered it. What I would consider a security champion as a developer is someone who knows how to write defensive code, secure code. Um, Also on the CI/CD side of things, understanding what's constantly going and changing in your code base. Um, from the eyes of a security researcher, one of the number one things I look for is secrets, bad code, ways of creating, putting the application in the state where I can have root level access. So understanding how to avoid all those and how to constantly check for those things accidentally being entered into your system is probably something that you should get really good at, because let me tell you, that's where the enemy is looking first and foremost. Um, I've done some personal research and found big FANG based companies that all it took is one intern leaking your credential in a branch, right? They know how to invert a binary tree because they're really good at algorithms, but that's one one thing they didn't know how to do is not commit some sort of secret. So knowing that kind of stuff and also being aware you have to be defensive is something that you should get really good at in order to be considered a champion, where you will get hacked.
Hey Don, quick question, because you mentioned something that is so exciting for me when you
Hmm.
say secrets, right?
Hmm.
Um, I mean, just talking about how for a long time we didn't have an answer to really transferring or leveraging leveraging credentials within automated environments. Like that's I think what you brought up is a really great point. Um, are there any um are there any methodologies that you think work a little bit better than others when you're talking about the utilization of secrets or transferring or encrypting your code or enabling your credentials to be authenticated by X, Y, and Z technology that jumps out to mind?
Well, there's secret servers. Just about every cloud provider has them, and just using environmental variables rather than hard coding anything is key. Um, so secret servers are nothing new. They just need to be utilized a little bit more. And those practices you were talking about, best practices, you never hard code secrets. And sometimes when you're in test mode, you hard code a secret, and that's where we get you, right? So Amazon AWS has a secrets manager. Google has a secrets manager. They have several third-party open source secret managers that you can utilize to sort of avoid this sort of thing from happening. But also, you have to make sure that it's not accepted into your code environment. So you could use as part of a pre-hook commit, if anything matches any sort of pattern of a secret, or you can even like define, with a regular expression what an internal secret may look like. As long as you're constantly looking for that, you can always block it from coming in. So yeah, learn that really well and understand that. And you should have, and also rotation, password rotation. That's another known, like I see a lot of companies who don't have that policy in play, and you find that credential that's a year old, and you're surprised that it still works, right?
Mhm.
So
That aids in like password stuffing attacks and password spraying. Yeah.
exactly. Also, like being a tester, I've seen scenarios where they try to roll out their own authentication stack. They write it from scratch. And like, there are companies that focus on this and they're really good at it. And testing some of those is pretty messy. So understanding the different techniques of authentication and the pros and cons of them is also something I think you need to have a better understanding of, right?
Awesome. I mean, thanks for opening up and really talking through that, because I mean, I think as people they hear these techniques and or these terminologies that we use, and sometimes they're like, "Oh, okay." And for those who know, they know, right? But I really, I thank you for going into depth about that.
No problem.
You know how frustrating it is when you're streaming and you're like doing stuff in AWS and you need to use the keys and then it accidentally shows up on the screen. Now you have to go back and change your keys and stuff like that. I hate when that happens. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Or API keys from a live streamer. that
I hate
does
when that
happen.
happens, and then I have to go back in and change and that's happened with my AWS keys. It's happened with my OpenAI keys, and I'm like, all right, I guess I have to go change everything everywhere now. So, but you shouldn't have the same keys going around everywhere. So you should have so I have keys for like my Terraform. I have keys for like when we're doing the OpenAI Chaos Camp challenge. Have keys. I just have keys like a key for each thing. So you shouldn't be using keys all over the place. That is another security thing. Don, you mentioned about what was it? Defensive development. Defensive. Is there any? Go ahead.
So oftentimes developers are too logical for their own good. That's where minds like Socks, myself, and yours come in. We come up with scenarios where developers like, why would they even do that? And our response is like, because you're allowing them to, right?
Yes.
So that defensive mindset, they could introduce more control flow to their classes, their code, to sort of avoid that. Why would that happen from ever happening, right? So yeah, that's what I meant by being defensive, right? Like some of the inputs in given fields, you have to be defensive on there. If you don't want something to happen or your data to get polluted, programmatically disallow it from happening. And that's where the defense comes in, and that foresight to be defensive, right?
I'm going to make a quote. I'm going to reword a quote, right? So it sounds like offensive code gets you into production, defensive code keeps you in production.
Okay,
Take
I
that
like that.
from the sports quote.
Oh, you
All right.
switch it around. I like that.
You know the quote,
Yeah.
offense wins games and defense wins championships.
Should make that a T-shirt. I would wear it.
Consider it done. All right. let's wrap that one up. All right. I hope that you guys are having an amazing time hanging out with Mr. Socks, Mr. Don, and yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph. All of us here are always engineered to win. So if you're having a good time, right? If you're having a good time, go ahead and like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every time we go live or drop new content. All right. And Socks is really busy, but I'm gonna get him to do a little bit more content. And I'm gonna have Don back way more often, because he is like a pot of gold. All right. So
Absolutely.
let's get to our next question. We have 2 more to go, all right? Let's do this come back. Where'd you go? All right. What are the most common vulnerabilities you find that could have been avoided if the devs had basic cybersecurity knowledge? Let me see if there's more to it, and let me
Oof.
see if there's more to it. Yeah. So this one was, well, that's pretty much the question. It was focused to penetration testers, to pen testers. But yeah, that's the question. What are the most common vulnerabilities that you find that could have been avoided if devs had basic cybersecurity knowledge? Kind of goes along to what Don was saying about defensive coding. So let's have at it. What do you got, Socks? And then we'll go to Don
Man,
after.
I'll try and keep it short, but this is a pretty complex thing. I'll
I thought all the
try and go.
previous ones you tried to keep short.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, this is gonna be long. Yeah, this is gonna be long. Okay. Um. So like just off the top of my head, we got SQL injection for sure. And that occurs when a user or a malicious user uses SQL command statements through the web application's input field. So that's your username, your password, where people are using like the 1 = 1 or 1 or bang equals 1, yada yada yada. Uh, this quite often happens like when we're talking about um, just really base level things that can be put into place to prevent um, the egress or the ingress of data and the ingress of Abu Bad guy. These are the things that we got to worry about. Cross site scripting, right? So these are just real simple things, right? It's when I guess the application allows the inclusion of untrusted data within the web page without proper validation and escaping, right? So that'll allow people to kind of execute scripts from the browser. So if I want to find out what your Etsy shadow looks like, because the server is a, I don't know, Ubuntu or a Apache server, right? These are some of the things that can be used. Cross-site forgery is another one. And notice, like I keep talking about, like things that definitely interrupt the way that databases are being used across or form data is being used within websites, because we interface with websites a lot in today's day and age. And then um indirect object references is something that pops up pretty quickly. But we'll make that, I guess, number 4. But then we got, our security misconfiguration. So that's when people don't enable the proper security things, such as using just HTTP versus HTTPS, and having HTTP exposed to the World Wide Web without additional security things in place. Now, I mean, like when a lot of people say, okay, well, Nico, we always read about security, SQL injection and cross-site scripting, and we always hear about that. And that's not really something that's going to happen in the real world. Well, I believe back in 2005, there's something called TalkTalk, right? That got hit through the utilization of, or that was a victim of SQL injection, right? Then we have, things like British Airways back in 2000. What was it, 2018, right? We're in 2024. In 2018, British Airways, a website, got hit, where attackers were able to steal personal data, or I think it was like 380 transactions or something like that. And then in 2008, Gmail was hit with the cross-site request forgery, right? Just to name a few. And then when we talk about IDOR, or or indirect object referencing, um, our beloved Facebook was attacked by that back in 2013, to include Mark Zuckerberg's. I think his picture got like exposed or something like that. Like some private data from him got exposed. So, and then the Equifax breach, being the product of security misconfiguration that ultimately continues to be the gift that keeps on giving, and that was a Apache Struts vulnerability, something that we practice on Red Team all the time, right? So, um, these things, I think at the lower level and the more simple level, I don't think that it's a nefarious thing, but it's a thing that um if we're not vigilant on our security practices and really working hand in hand with security in mind, and even like if you have an internal security team, like use them, like have the conversation. Like, yes, but I know we're sprints. We got sprints going on, and we got to deliver. And this is going to hold up our deliverables. Um, there's some things that regression testing is not going to show you. There are things that your built-in pipeline, to go back to Don's mention of the CI/CD pipeline, and its place within just code development and having secure code. It's not going to function as well as it needs to, if we're not vigilant about security. And that's all I got. That's my TED talk.
I, I'd like to add some of the top common vulnerabilities I see, at least from the API layer that I noticed. What's pretty common is default settings and paths to Swagger documentation. When you're doing early research on the API, you want to know how to use it. And Swagger, unfortunately, tells you how to use it very well. And I see a pattern of that being exposed by default. So the first things the attacker will do is try to fuzz for those paths, get the information. Now they know how to fully interact with your infrastructure. And then from there, it's, what would be a good practice is to maybe, once it hits production, to not allow those paths or remove those paths, right? And that can be part of CI/CD. Once you have a release branch, that code gets removed, right? That will avoid a lot of different attack types, because API is really where you can get everything, get all the business logic, all the data, it's so, and misconfiguration all the time, especially with these new cloud Kubernetes. And, if they have defaults, that's, one thing a security expert has is a list of all defaults for every product ever invented. And programmatically, you can, identify the device and then throw those credentials at it, and you have control over that resource, which is no bueno. Sorry.
No, they're perfect. I got you loud and clear, and I couldn't agree with you more. let's not, shrink wrap attacks are real. If I can just go on Google and look up what Apache servers login credentials are by default, pipe that through something like Shodan, find all the open listening services that utilize Apache, and if I'm able to, I got a little bit of Python underneath my belt, I can write something that just puts an admin password into those things and just iterates across different things, and hopefully spam house or somebody will receive my IP address and at least block me. But with the targeted attack, with the ability to consistently leverage different IP schemas, that can be something that can attack at scale. Just a thought process, but yeah, I agree.
I did a video back in September about the uh, Equifax data breach, which I believe that was the one where they didn't update something on their servers for a certain
Mm-hmm.
amount of time,
Yep.
and hackers were able to get in. So I mean, like, we constantly hear about hackers getting into different companies, like huge companies, on a daily basis. So for people to say, "Oh, this doesn't happen and that doesn't happen," well, if you don't protect yourself against it, then it is going to happen, right? I
Mm-hmm.
remember back in like 2006, 7, 8 ish, when Joomla, the CMS Joomla was popular.
Joomla. Yeah.
And then even like with even WordPress as well, because like WordPress, they've made it a lot better over the years, right? But like I used to get like the little crappy sites that I used to have up there, like they would get hacked all the time
Mm-hmm.
with like database injections, and then I'd go to the site and say, "Oh, you've been hacked," and I'd have to like go and clean it up and stuff like that, right? But it's always been happening, so you need
And
to protect your systems against that.
and we also got to talk. I mean, this conversation isn't complete if we're not talking about from the system administrative side and the patching that's necessary. Like patch, WordPress. I got to stand up for my friend WordPress, right? So everybody says you get WordPress, you're gonna get hacked all the time, and the reality is, situation is, as long as you patch base base WordPress, you're good. It's the plugins that tend to get you hammered up. And so I'm very, very particular about the implementation about plugins, because I'll have a nice, solid, safe environment. And then when I introduce a plugin, then I'm introducing the probability for people to get in through a way that I had not planned for. So I think change management plays a large part in that as well. Documentation, and it slows everything down. I get it. Like in a great world, we're doing this, and I think a lot of the time when we choose to skip the 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 very important things for speed or agility, we end up in a bad position. So, guys, just patch your systems, and if you can, like, rotate your passwords, and don't use passwords. Use phrases. Open up remember your favorite book, right? Everybody got a favorite book. You can remember a couple sentences because it's your favorite book. You can remember a couple sentences. So start implementing those things into play. Like, we shouldn't be using passwords now. We should be into passphrases.
Yeah, my password is I love Tech Coach Ralph. Like, share, and subscribe right away. That's my password is kind of long, but
I,
it works.
I got it. I got it.
And just to add, like what you were saying about like the sprints and stuff like that, um, it should be part of the stories, right? And part of the pointing and what you bring into the sprint. So, cybersecurity, QA, automation, testing should all be part of the story, and the definition of done should be including that our system is secure, right? And you might think you're gonna go quote unquote slower, but imagine how slow you're gonna go when everything comes crashing down. So
God. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we are going to get to our last question, but let me wrap this one up. All right. So before we get to the last question, if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Sox's channel. And you know what? This I really enjoy doing the cybersecurity Q&As, and it is a total honor for me to have Don here as well tonight. We've been trying to get him on for a very, very long time. So we just throw out one of these.
You
You
the
guys can't hear
best.
it. You guys can't hear it on your, I'll throw that one in there too. You guys can't hear it on your end, but it's on my side. But we're gonna get to the last question, and then like I gotta go around 9:30, but you guys can stick around if you want, and then talk your hearts out about whatever. But let's get to the last question. So this one, based on your roadmap into cybersecurity diagram, how can I choose which plan and program to pursue at Sox University?
Oof. 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 Well, let's talk about it, right? So when I created the cybersecurity diagram, my goal was to uh, greatly reduce the options that exist in the world for cybersecurity paths that may be available for you, the newly minted, I guess, cyber initiate, right? Um, I would say that one of the first things that we have to do, and it's kind of a 1 or 2 part series, right? We got to assess your current skill set, right? You got to understand what your current skill set is, and the way that you're going to find that out is by um, kind of looking at the definitions that surround, or the ideas that surround, the different tenets or the different paths that exist within the cybersecurity diagram, and that's going to help you better calculate or understand, like, where your strengths or weaknesses are. Now, if we're talking about we're talking about Sox University, right? And we have 4 tiers that exist. Two are currently released, with another 2 that's going to be released by within the near future. I'd like to say Q3 of this year. Um, and the first tier is focused on a brand new person that really doesn't know much about cybersecurity. So you're transitioning from a non-technical background, or a person that's just graduated from college and wants to, kind of see what the current requirements might be for a junior level person to get involved within cybersecurity. With our second tier, um, being the next level, but what they're doing in that play in that tier, you understand the basic understanding about what cybersecurity is across both the host based environment and the network based environment, even into a little bit of policy, and you're able to quickly gather and implement uh, um, skills targeted at a myriad of challenges. So when we look at the course material across Sox University, we have a little bit of each of the different sections that exist within the cybersecurity roadmap, so you get a taste of everything. However, based upon the tier that you select, determines how quickly you get pushed into the deep end, right? So, if you're and we understand at Sox University that no one's a master of everything, but I think that again, Sox University being a preparatory institution or learning environment, from based upon your performance within these different areas, you will be better informed about places and learning environments or learning topics that you may not be so strong in. And again, with it being coupled with real world examples, and not to mention the CTF at the end of it, to allow you to kind of demonstrate even more capability, I think you'll be able to more better identify the direction that you want to go. So if you want to chase IAM management, by the end of the course, you'll understand just a little bit more than you may have known before you got started, and you'll have the opportunity to demonstrate those skill sets within the learning environment as well.
Nice, nice. It sounds like based on like the tier. So, are you or do you have like a description, like in the tiers, like if this is what you're like, let's say you are just trying to get into cyber now, then you want to start with a cyber initiate. Maybe you've done some cyber already, and you're like more focused on, let's say, like like you mentioned, the identity and access management, right? Then you probably want to go with this tier and so forth.
So, again, it's the way that the learning adventure is structured. It's not structured in such a way as, okay, I just focus on this direction. If you want to just do IAM, take this particular thing. Each of the different tiers gives you adequate exposure at said level of understanding, so that you actually get a taste of each of the different environments outlined within the cybersecurity diagram, which eliminates your requirement to make that decision right now, which is, I think, what plagues a lot of people, is that decision crisis that happens, like, oh, you just pushed me into a ice cream store with 57 flavors and you're telling me to pick one, but I don't know what all the 57 flavors taste like, nor can I compare those things in a realistic way. What we're attempting to do is create an environment that gives you a taste of each different section, and then from there you're able to then go back to the cybersecurity diagram and say, man, I did well in these areas, and or I did crappy in these areas, but I did crappy in identity access management, but I still want to go after identity and access management. So it's hard to choose your path if you haven't had an ability to take a little snack.
Good point. It's a good point. I mean, I think that we always hear people like they come in and they say, "I want to get into cybersecurity." Okay, and like, I don't
Yes.
know anything about tech, but I want to get into cybersecurity because I heard I can make a lot of money, right?
You see this right here? This is what they want. They want this, right? I
um,
mean, they say that out the I just graduated from college. I want this every week. I'm gonna be honest with you. That ideology is as fake as this money in my hand, right? Like, seriously, guys, it takes a little bit of time, it takes effort, it takes experience and opportunity. And I I think that it's reasonable for me to believe that coming out of a training boot camp outside of a training environment that I have no experience in, like, let's say I'm going to go and be an electrician, that I'm going to be sub six figures. And that's okay. Like, take the sub six figures for right now, get what you can get. Because I promise you, if you take these skills and you're as passionate as you say you are, I promise you, you won't be sub six figures for very long. because one of the things that have plagued the cybersecurity environment is that there's an influx of highly certified people, bunch of people who got, they did test dumps, got these certifications, but when it came time to, to handle very difficult situations, they lacked the mental agility in order to circumnavigate that problem. So my thing is, all day every day I wake up, I'm doing something cyber. I've been Raspberry Piing my brains out, on some things that don't matter. Who cares if I could cut on a light with the Raspberry Pi and then take a remote control and try and interfere with the IR transmission from my computer to the Raspberry Pi, and I'm just constantly hitting that. They're like, that doesn't mean anything. Well, can I now then get that Raspberry Pi to pulse out via Morse code and light via that IR piece, the secrets of your S3 bucket, right? So now I got plugged in and it's just strobing and nobody can see it because it's UV light. No one's looking around with these goggles that show UV light, and I just have a receiver on the other end collecting all of your data. Like, these are the things that excite me and probably aren't useful for anyone, but it allows me to stay sharp in methodology and approach. But that's all I got, sir. I hope that was useful.
What you got, Don?
No, him just talking about his little experiment reminds me of the flipper and how there are a lot of
My
things.
faith. My faith.
There's a lot of entry points just in the world that a lot of people can't see that can affect. Yeah. So yeah, just keep practicing and experimenting. One thing that I would find fascinating is seeing how those people would respond to an actual attack simulation, right? Because it's one thing to get a cert, and it's one thing to feel the pressure of being attacked and the stakeholders going, what's going on? What's going on? And just them folding under that pressure, right?
Not to mention the documentation that's supposed to be a part of your incident response or your
Mm-hmm.
disaster recovery plan.
Yep.
Like, you got people, like, servers are down, people are losing their job, and you're coming in, you need to respond. What does that look like? And it's doable. Like, don't let this scare you. It's doable. But your heart has to be in there. I can't, if it's not in you, it's not in you. But if you have the desire for it to be in you, it can be. So don't give up, guys.
Yeah, a few years in cyber or tests, your nervous system will be rock solid if you stick in with it. So first few years you'll cry, but after that you'll be right as rain.
And that's why I'm able to have these huge people trying to kill me at jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, it's nothing. I'll say this
I've
too,
been
right?
choked before. Hold on, let me keep my hand here so I can breathe.
And I think people like, and that's why I call like this tech team 6 is like, we run to the chaos instead of running away from it. We're like, oh, there's a problem. Let's try to figure it out. But I'll say this though, like, one thing I think that like I've noticed that my coaching and my Patreon has exposed is that it also shows you if tech isn't for you, right? And I think that what the Stock University can also show you, like, maybe this isn't for you, because when you go to a boot camp, like, even like one of those like vocational schools, right? It's like, oh yeah, you're a perfect candidate. You're a perfect candidate because they want you $20,000, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what I charge for like tech, for like the tech coaching and tech barbarians, like, whether you stay or not, it's like, I'm not gonna cry over it, and but it shows, it exposes that, like, maybe like what they told you wasn't really for you, and So and I think that the cybersecurity training that we offer here is going to pretty much do the same. Like the Chaos Camp challenges do the same because like um,
Hmm.
you try to do something practical, and it's not like that scripted thing, and it's like um, you know. So I think it also exposes like the intricacies that we have to deal with.
And that's the part when it came to, the pricing plan and pricing strategy, having tiered pricing, is because I want to lower the cost to participate, right? A lot
Yep.
of people don't have $8,000 to take a $8,000 certification. And if I can help you, if you choose to take your $8,000 and take that certification, if I can help you get that certification through spending $20 or $50 a month, I think that it's a win. I think that, when we're talking about CompTIA, and they're more price accessible options from $100 on up to their cybersecurity certification programs. If I can help you ensure, if I can darn near promise you with my training plus their boot camp that you're gonna walk away with the certification, then how are you losing? Like, you have everything to gain. And I believe that that will help uplift those of us who are serious about trying to make a change in our in our dynasty and in our world.
So I got to drop in just a minute, but I got something in my chat, right? And that comes from Ruckus, and he says just got to the channel, so shout out to you for being here. And Ruckus says passed my Network Plus certificate 3 days ago, and now studying for the Security Plus. Is there any way I can get a close simulation to an actual attack? That's a good question.
What's your IP
To-
address? Just playing.
you beat me to it. You beat me to it. No, if we're so when we're talking about the Sec Plus, it's not experiencing that wouldn't necessarily put you in a position that makes you more effective when you take your Sec Plus. But if you're doing some Splunk, if you're doing something that was EDR related, I think you would definitely benefit from interacting with a live scale attack. However, I do have infrastructure that you could attempt to defend against nefarious actors and APT style threat actors. But we are coming to the moment where it's about time for us all to drop off. And I want to first of all thank Tech Coach Ralph for one introducing me to Don, and two, creating a great relationship with me. I think that you and your platform is amazing. Don, I appreciate the deliverables, the amazing camp that you have released, and I watch while I'm driving to work sometimes on Tech Coach Ralph's stream. So thank you guys for highlighting the efforts that I'm making, and being participative in making the world better through cyber.
All right. Before we wrap it up, so we have Jamal Parks in Sox's chat that says, "What's good, fellas? Appreciate y'all doing this. It is totally my pleasure. I love to hang out with Sox and Don and talk tech, talk cybersecurity. So shout out to you, Jamal, for being here. And we have Sharon that says, "Thank you all for your patience, support, and time. Have a great evening. You have a wonderful evening as well. You know what? I'm gonna throw out the I really do appreciate all your support as well, Sharon. So thank you so much. Last words before we wrap it up, Don.
No, I just appreciate both of you guys. I'm a huge fan of Tech Coach Ralph, huge fan of Socks. Socks is the real deal. I usually am like zero cert type guy, but the way Socks has sort of formulated all of this, and he's essentially a zero. He's zero cred with creds. So this like extra layer. It's like I was already a hacker, but now I understand it at a business level as well. So he can guide you in many different ways. So if that means anything, he's legit. He's been given the stamp of awesome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And right back at you.
All right. So, Socks, I'm going to drop off and let you wrap up the stream on your end, and I will wrap it up on my end. All right. Don, I will talk to you later. Thank you so much for being here tonight. All right. See you guys later.
All right. And everybody here, I want to again thank Don for checking in. Amazing platform. If you get a chance, check out his GitHub. Hey, Don, you want to shout out your GitHub right quick?
Yeah, if you were to do a search for an organization called Chaos Camp, it is a repo I have open. Feel free to participate in some of the projects or contribute some of your own.
Is that with a K? Can you spell that out for us?
Yeah, it says CH
AOS.
Yeah, Chaos Camp.
At GitHub, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just for you guys, I'm just gonna scroll this across the bottom of the screen because I want to give love where I can, and that'd be Chaos Camp at GitHub. So go ahead and check it out. Amazing opportunity for you to learn Git. Right, I saw Git when I was involved in it, and learning really the nuances of everything Git and security practices that are involved with securing your Git branches and CI/CD pipeline.
Yep.
All right, guys. Again, thanks, Don. I am going to go ahead and lead us on out from another great recording, and we're out.